raw food enthusiast, chef, and cookbook writer Melissa Henig, who has written an amazing book with recipes that I absolutely love. And look at her, she's glowing with health and beauty here. So Melissa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Tell me what caused you to think about raw foods in your life.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a really health conscious home, so we were giving carrot juice to all the neighbors, so I already had this background of health food, which I'm so grateful for. And then I got introduced to the raw vegan diet, and I did that for a year, and we had a little store in California called Rawsome, and I would be going into the store, I'm still raw vegan, I would only buy coconut things and fruit, and the folks there kept telling me, you should really try some of this raw meat and this raw dairy, and you're probably missing different nutrients. And I had noticed that my energy had gone down. It had been a year I was missing iron and zinc and B12 and things that I really needed from the animal foods. So I went from raw vegan over to something I call raw paleo. At that time it's called raw primal as well. Okay. But I switched it to raw paleo because it's just such a great word, paleo, everyone knows it. So it's a raw animal diet, and I do include raw dairy on there as well.
Wow. So could you talk a little bit about some of the foods that you make here and sell? We're at the Farmers Market, and Melissa has written this awesome book with hundreds of recipes that I would recommend everybody get and read. Tell us a little bit about the stuff you have here.
Yeah, everything I sell at the market, they're not raw animal foods here, but they're still really healthy and that's nutrition here. Okay. So yeah, this is the Chakra Mushroom Tea. Yeah. And I brew it for 12 hours, so it's a medicinal tea. It's a medicinal mushroom, really good for the immune system, anti-inflammatory. I have some tinctures. So this actually, what we're trying here is made out of animal fat. It's called Cave Woman Cream. And it's something our ancestors used as a lotion, and it matches our cell biology better than anything synthetic would. It soaks right into your skin, and it has fat-soluble vitamins in it.
I see. So you have some customers here. Melissa has a lot of customers here. And then what inspired you to write this book?
Well, there's not a lot out there about the raw animal diet, and so, I am so passionate because it has a much higher healing potential than just eating a bunch of cooked meat like a traditional paleo diet. And then by bringing in the raw animal fats, I just was inspired to introduce this way of eating to people. They don't have to be 100% anything. Just incorporate a little bit of steak tartare and things, that I have in the book into your diet.
I see. And what do you eat in an average day for breakfast?
Oh, I do a lot of green juice, a lot of raw fat, a lot of raw butter, raw milk, raw eggs, and raw cream. I make smoothies, and that'll last me all day. And then I'll have some raw meat for dinner. But I do salads every now and then, and I do some bone broth, so I'm not 100% raw either.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, if you want to serve the customers,
I have my bottle. I forgot for it. Oh, yeah. A bit turmeric. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Here you go. Thank you so much.
And why did you write the book? This is a simply awesome book, and I have actually tried some of these recipes, it turns out, because I'm a big fan of Ajnu's Wanderplanet.
Yeah, so I was inspired, there's a man named Ajnus Wanderplanet that wrote The Primal Diet, and he had healed himself of blood cancer, bone cancer, hundreds of patients he has healed of diseases and cancer. And so I definitely was inspired by his book. And I have a co-author, my mentor, and he's been eating raw animal foods for 17 years and feels great. So I just thought that, I don't want people to be afraid of food. I tell people I eat raw meat and they're like, oh my gosh, but people in other countries, every culture has a raw meat dish. And so I want to bring it here and make it more of a mainstream thing that we don't have to be afraid of really healthy food.
I see. And so your book has recipes that range from just raw vegetable foods all the way to raw organ meats and raw marrow. could you talk a little bit about your favorite recipe and give us your favorite recipe that you really love?
Yeah, probably the raw butter pie. It's so delicious, and you think like, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. It's got all this raw fat, and it's frosted with real raw cream. It's so good. It's kind of the gateway into this diet. You give them a piece of raw butter pie, and they're like, oh, I'm sold. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I see. And do you eat only raw, primarily raw? What percent of your diet is raw?
Yeah,
and what do you recommend?
I used to be really dogmatic, and I was totally raw. And you know what? It can be too much of a detoxifying diet. It's actually all raw foods are cleansing, and they're probiotic and enzymes, and they're doing a lot of detox work. So I don't even recommend 100% raw.
I see.
I mean, at this point, I've loosened up a lot. I'm probably about 70% raw, 30% cooked, which would be a Weston A. Price style way of eating, a really traditional, organic, slow-cooked way of eating.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And do you find a change in how frequently you get sick? Have you gotten colds and coughs in the last few? How many years have you been eating this way?
We've been eating 6 years the raw animal diet. 1 year was the raw vegan diet. I don't really get sick. If I do, it's okay. I think it's okay to get sick sometimes. That's probably natural, a little bit of a detox, but it's nothing crazy. I don't go to doctors or anything.
I see.
Yeah.
And people are very scared of eating raw foods because they feel they might get, listeria or campylobacter or food poisoning of some sort. Could you address that?
Yeah, did you want to buy some?
Yeah, for
The
the
two?
turmeric. Yeah.
Okay.
You're back. You came back.
I'm
thought
back
you
for a minute. You never know where I'm going next.
I left and I had to come back.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day. So we are bacteria. Our bodies are mostly made of bacteria, and so I'm not afraid of any natural bacteria that's on raw foods. I actually welcome it as a probiotic. If you're eating clean animals, they're producing clean food. So it's really simple to just really source good, clean food straight from. I go to specialty butcher shops where it's slaughtered, it's never frozen, and I buy it fresh. It's not denatured at all. So I'm really good about where I source it, and I just don't have any fear about the bacteria or parasites. I mean, they all have a job synergistically in our body, symbiotically, and they have, if there's a job to be done, they'll come in and they'll eat as much waste as they can, and then they'll just leave. So, it's like if you keep a really clean environment, we can't blame the pathogens. It's up to us to keep ourselves clean.
Okay. The other question a lot of people have is, gee, I'm eating all these fats, and those fats make me fat. And I can see clearly that you eat a lot of fats. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for me, I don't eat a lot of carbs, so the fat is now burned as fuel. So that's why it's not going to make me fat. And also, I don't need as much because it's nutrient-dense food. I'll notice that I can eat my raw cottage cheese, my raw butter, and my raw milkshake, and I'm not loading up on any other foods. So I notice that it's also quality over quantity. So when I eat these really nutrient-dense foods, I'm like, did I even eat enough today? It's just so satisfying that I'm also not overeating on this diet. Another way that fat is not making me fat.
I see. And is it easier to cook, or is it harder to cook this way?
It's super easy. It's like less than 5 minutes. You just open the package of meat and eat it.
Hi. I was like, she's not here. I've been looking everywhere. I was talking to my friend right there that I hadn't seen in years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, turmeric honey. I'm gonna get those. What's the baby? What's the difference?
The baby doesn't have any scent at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really clean.
I like this.
You're heading out of the area?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm telling my husband.
Big change.
We might just finish this really quick.
Yeah.
And so, what are your plans? Next steps in your life? What do you want to do now?
Well, I just my mission is to just keep spreading the word of health and nutrition, and it really does, it does matter. Like, people these days are, I know the whole spiritual aspect and being positive matters, but it really foundationally matters what we're putting in our mouths. Like, canola oil is a plastic fat, it's going to turn to plastic. That really matters. And I just want to keep spreading the health and nutrition message.
Thank you so much. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
And I hope you write more books.
Thanks.
And I'm sure you're helping a lot of people along the way. Thank you so much.
Aw, wonderful.